Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Padawan podcast, Apocaflix Movies All Star Wars podcast, where we are breaking down everything from the galaxy far, far away. Today, specifically, it is everything Mandalorian. Yes, we have quite a bit to talk about with the Mandalorian today, and that's going to start with the Disney Gallery series that's going on. A little behind-the-scenes work on season 1 of the show. And then we're going to be discussing all the rumored characters and actors that are possibly going to be appearing in season 2 of the show, which has been the hot commodity in Star Wars the last couple weeks. And my name is Jake Berlin. I go by Qui-Gon Jake on this show, and I am joined by my regular table members today. That is Mr. Obi-Wan Jacoby there in the middle, and Mr. Grand Admiral Cena right there on the right-hand side. How you gentlemen doing?
Hello there. Pretty good.
There it is. Got to let him have that one first.
Of course.
You guys,
doing good.
Is it just me, or does it feel like we're cheating on the Mandalorian Club right now?
A little bit. We should
discussing the Mandalorian on not, but that's a review show, so makes sense.
We could have done like a little fun little spinoff, which would have been fun. But yeah, that show's always special when we bring it back for the seasons. I think that's what.
Yeah, I know. And we don't normally discuss news on it, so it made sense. But it's funny because it's like Mandalorian topics. So.
Cool. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have a lot to talk about today, gentlemen. We're going to be talking briefly on the Disney Gallery stuff, just kind of thoughts, overall opinions. No real we're not gonna do like the spoiler discussion factor to it. Just a cool little behind the scenes stuff, and most of our conversation is going to come from the second part of our show, which is the rumored appearances for season 2. Because on the list now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names that we could potentially be talking about. That includes both characters and actors. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and talk about Disney Gallery. Now, this is funny because this was never announced. This was never like a thing that like StarWars.com covered or Disney in general. They just said, hey, here's a behind the scenes show on The Mandalorian. And they dropped the first episode. And obviously it was a massive hit because Star Wars fans and regular fans in general of movie or television or just people, Mandalorian was just a success all around. And so it makes sense to kind of release this cool little docuseries, which will no doubt take place on a lot of their original content, I'm sure. But it makes sense to be Mando first. And they started off with an episode that was called Directing. Episode 2 was called Legacy. And episode 3, which we probably won't touch on today, was called Cast. I got to say, myself, I mean, you guys know how I love behind the scenes stuff, like the filmmaking aspect and like the writing and everything is like totally up my alley. It is so incredible to see how this show was made. It boggles me that this show, a 30 to 45 minute show that is only 8 episodes and only has 1 season, is already changing how movies and television are made.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, it's that, especially watching that first episode, you kind of saw that they're working with a budget, but they were using so many practical effects. And how Taika Waititi was talking about, he was talking about how he used to go to studios and ask them, hey, do you have any leftover stuff that we can use? Like, they're using that type of mentality to make a Star Wars show. And that's crazy because I feel like that was the whole season 1. Like, just make this Star Wars show for as inexpensive as possible. And look at the way it turned out. Like, the way it looks, it just feels so much like the original trilogy that, like, I prefer it over them spending way more money than they did. So it was really cool to see that.
Yeah, they're literally like taking every possible niche in filming and seeing what works best. And I think that's a testament to what we're getting because, I mean, these practical effects, we can throw in CG easy, but like look at how well it's going without it. And I mean, well, not without it, but not being used everything. One of the greatest things to come out of it was the child, the baby Yoda. And it wasn't for the most part, tiny, for what Jake likes to refer to it. For the most part of it, it wasn't done on a computer screen. So, I mean, it's incredible to see. And it's just a testament, because that's kind of how Star Wars has always been, is just the bare bones. And so far, the bare bones are some of the best ones. So
That's true. And I know that neither of you have watched episode 3 yet. And I've seen it. It's so good. I can't wait for you guys to talk about
I'm
it or see
excited
it,
to
and
see
then
that one.
we'll talk about it next week on the
When
show.
do they
But
release the episodes?
They are released on Fridays.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good to know.
it's just like I think they keep it just like Mando was released on Fridays too, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the same thing. So, yeah, I just it truly is a, for the lack of a better word, it really is a marvel that this show is made this way. Because a lot of it is indoors with certain new technology backgrounds and just the way that the lighting has worked, and it's truly brilliant the way that Favreau and Filoni have been able to choreograph and manipulate everything to look the way it does, with incredible puppet teams and ILM in their background. And obviously, out of the two that we talk about today, directing and legacy, directing is by far my favorite. I'm a director's guy through and through, but I love the way that Jon Favreau explained how they can just bring together all these wacky different directors, but still make a cohesive television show with so many different flavors in them. And it worked so flawlessly.
Yeah, it did. It looks like they were working as a team more than separate directors coming in.
It looked like they were all on the set together. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like they were for the most part, because they were like asking each other for advice, and they all directed 2 episodes, I believe, right? So
everyone but Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay, yeah. So
and Taika. Sorry.
Yeah. So then who? Oh, okay. I see how that would make sense, actually, because Deborah Chow, Dave Filoni, and Famuyiwa each directed 2. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it looked like, and they even said they're like this, 7 samurai crew of people, and I thought that it was just them coming in one by one, working with Filoni and Favreau, and it seems like they were just one big team, which was really cool. And I never minded that they brought in Bryce Dallas Howard for directing. Like, I never seen her direct anything, but I never minded it. And now I fully understand why they brought her in, though, because she talks about how she has a lot of experience working with special effects and working in these genre films with a lot of stuff going on with like altered environments and things like that. So she was able to work with the actors, which I guarantee you, if Rick Famuyiwa was directing an episode and Bryce Dallas Howard was there, she kind of stepped in and maybe helped one of the actors with something. They were probably all kind of co-directing a little bit with one person leading the ship, which kind of like changed my whole perspective of the show, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they definitely seemed like they were a team and not an individual unit. Because, I mean, we kind of, in our heads, always assumed that it was Filoni and Favreau and then that director probably helping. Mm-hmm. I don't think it ever really crossed anyone's mind that they'd be working as a cohesive unit. I mean, they were clearly with each other on set, helping each other and giving each other like pieces of advice throughout the whole entire thing. Like, if there was what's the word I'm looking for? If there was like something that one of the directors maybe wasn't familiar with, one of them would have that experience and fill that gap and just keep this story going at the same level that it did from beginning to end, even though we had a different director every single episode. So, and I think that's the most incredible thing, because their brains all work differently. They all have different visions, but at the end of the day, they made one cohesive thing that if you wouldn't have ever known that it was someone that there was different directors, you would probably have not really known, been like, oh, the tone's different. It seems that it's funnier. It flowed better than I think they probably even intended it to.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that makes me very excited to see what the new names for season 2, like a Robert Rodriguez and a Peyton Reed, bring to the
Yeah,
table, because
I'm
they
curious.
are
Yeah,
two very not just different from each other, but they're very different from all 5 that had directed in the first season as well. And so that's going to be very interesting to see. As far as our coverage
Especially
on the show,
Rodriguez.
yeah, exactly.
That's a
And I'm glad he's involved though, because he's a good friend with Favreau, because he brings such a different style to everything. But as far as our coverage on the show, we'll be talking about it every week. I don't know. Did they say how many episodes it's doing? Is it 8 episodes?
I don't
You guys
know, to be honest. Yeah.
probably. I mean,
I
it
would
would
think so.
make sense.
So next week we'll catch our way up, and we will cover episode 3 and 4, and then an episode after that from there on out. But for now, that's going to wrap up our Disney Gallery coverage, and we're going to move on to the rumored appearances for Mandalorian season 2, because for the last month or so, it's pretty much been a wildfire on social media.
New one every day.
Yeah, and we can say to this point that right now, none of the characters that have been mentioned or talked about are actually confirmed. Only the names of the actors are that have been joined. So the names of the actors are Timothy Oliphant, which is the most recent one, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Michael Biehn are the 3 actors that will be joining the series in some capacity. Don't know what. But as far as the characters, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Rex, Bo-Katan, and Sabine Wren, none of them have actually been confirmed to this point. They all come from very credible sources, but Lucasfilm or Disney, they have not come out and said, yes, this actually is happening. And so this is all just speculation and theory and, obviously excitement on our part. And so we'll just go in order of the way I listed him. I feel like that might be the best way. So let's go and start with Boba Fett, guys. Because not just is he the most well-known and live action presence anyway out of these characters, but he was the one character that we came out of season 1 saying like, oh, he actually might have had a cameo in the season 1.
Yeah.
In episode 5, the Gunslinger episode on Tatooine, we don't know exactly who that character was that is picking up Shannik Fang, and so it could very well be Boba Fett, could very well be someone else. But right now, it is rumored that Tamira Morrison, who originally played Jango Fett, could be coming back to playing Boba Fett, which is really cool. Let's just go and throw some thoughts out there. I'll throw my thoughts out there quickly. Obviously, you guys know how much I love Boba Fett. I've always said that it'd be great to bring him back. It sets up. I want to see how that's the case. I don't want it to be kind of a throwaway. I want it to make sense. And if they did bring him back, I need to see how. I don't want it to be told. It needs to physically be shown for me to be on board with it. But I'm all on board for bringing Boba Fett into the picture because it makes sense. I mean, you can't have a popular character like the Mandalorian without having Boba Fett in the picture, even if it is after his death. And I would love to see how it happens. And I imagine that they'll probably be facing off each other, which Mando versus Mando and two Mandos who technically aren't Mandos is actually pretty cool.
True, yeah. I still think that's Boba Fett in episode 5, the Gunslinger. Like, we talked about it. Who else could it be that it would matter? Because if it's an unknown character, then what's the point of teasing their boots and all that? So I still think that's Boba Fett. And I don't know, man. Do you think they're going to show him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit? What if that's the opening shot of season 2?
Better. I don't know if it'll be the opening shot, but I imagine
of an episode maybe.
I imagine it being a Drax from Guardians Volume 2 where he jumped in the beast and he's stabbing his way out.
Oh, yeah.
Like you see him actually fighting his way out of the beast, because the easiest way to do this is he was swallowed, not eaten, and he just fights his way out of the beast.
Well, the Sarlaccs don't chew; they swallow.
Yeah, but you can easily hit some of those teeth on your way in.
Yeah, but I mean that's one of the whole things is that they digest them for it's either 100 or 1,000 years. So I mean,
just imagine a Drax moment with Boba Fett.
Because honestly, and like one of the biggest dumb things in Return of the Jedi is how Boba Fett gets taken out. Like he's supposed to be the most badass guy in the galaxy, and that's what happens. So if he gets out, then he redeems himself. And so I do think we're going to see Boba Fett, especially because how Jon Favreau is obsessed with him. So you think, and in a good way, like if you think they've been giving like the permission to just, all right, you guys made the Mandalorian season 1, just do whatever you want now. Like, so maybe Jon Favreau was finally bringing in Boba Fett.
Here's the thing with me in this. I agree with you. I think that he will be in this next season. I don't know, Jake, if I agree with you that they're going to ever face off, because if they do, it's not going to be for a very long while, because I mean, at the end of the day, if that was to happen, I don't see the Mandalorian losing. It's his name's the show. And then you just literally go back. You literally just started to bring this character back only to actually kill him again. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. But the thing is that makes me think that this is an extreme possibility, and likely that's going to happen is look at what happened with Darth Maul. He was a one-off that people absolutely loved. Literally was used for minimal amounts in The Phantom Menace and became a cult classic of a bad guy, even though he barely even spoke words. He then got a second chance with the Clone Wars and has blown up to be one of the best characters to come out of that series and have one of the best stories told, and is now a beloved character, absolutely beloved. This kind of works perfectly with the same storyline as Boba Fett does. People loved him, minimally used in the actual films, but has had a huge cult following and had stories told about him. And this could play out to be the exact same type of situation.
And he hasn't even returned yet, and he's as popular as Darth Maul, if not more.
Yeah, and so I mean, and who led this comeback? Yeah, exactly. Who led Maul's comeback? Filoni.
Well, remember, Filoni already used Boba Fett too.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone's going to bring Boba Fett back, it's these two.
Yeah.
These two are the only ones that should be allowed to do it, other than Lucas, maybe. So, I mean, it makes...
No.
I hesitate saying that. I agree with you. But I was just saying, like, if someone's going to bring it back, Lucas would probably be another one. But, I mean, if you're going to bring it back, bring him back, he's in the best possible hands that you could pick. So why not?
Agreed. What do you guys think about Tamira Morrison playing him, who played Jango Fett? I would imagine that it would just be a voiceover role because you'd probably need someone else who can do some major action in that suit.
True, yeah.
Probably one of the stunt doubles they already used for Mandalorian, which would already make sense. I think it's brilliant. I mean, you would have Jango Fett's voice, and he's a clone of Jango Fett. It's really the only way that you could do it, right?
I think so. I mean, it's voice acting, I guess, so whatever. But do you think they're ever going to show his face?
No. Then if they do, I'll be so pissed off.
Yeah. So then they should get him to do the voice, because that's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling they're going to want to show his face, but they might be able to show his face another way we can talk about later. But I just think that it's perfect for him to do the voice. He is him. He is Boba Fett, in a way, because Boba Fett was one of the clones that just didn't get the accelerated aging or whatever. So it makes too much sense.
I think they will probably more than likely eventually show his face, but I have a feeling his face is going to be effed up, and it's not going to be like, oh look, it's a clone. It's one of the clone. I have a feeling there's probably going to be some type of damage to it, and if they do, I have a feeling it's going to be the length of what we saw Din Djarin's. Quick, simple. All right, you saw his face. Let's keep the story moving. Like so, but I agree with you, Jake. I actually would prefer not to see it. But if they do, I have a feeling it's going to be his face is going to be messed up. Noticeable that that's Boba Fett, like that's a clone's face, but and I would imagine it would be quick because we don't care. Half of the mystique of Boba Fett is his armor, how dope he looks. We don't need to see his face really at this point.
Come on, Favreau, please. You already ruined the Mandalorian by taking off his helmet. Leave Boba Fett the way he is.
Ruined. Whoa.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next character. And that is Ahsoka Tano, a name that has been everywhere.
Yeah. What character?
The epitome of what a Jedi is. Ahsoka Tano's name has been thrown around quite a bit as of late. Not just for Mandalorian season 2, not just for a sequel series of Rebels, not just for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but her own solo series, and her name's just floating around like crazy. It obviously makes sense because every project that Filoni has worked on, he has had Ahsoka Tano in one point or another, and so it just makes sense to include her. Also, we don't know where the story goes with Tiny and Mando. It probably makes sense that they cross paths with Ahsoka because at this point in time, outside of Luke, Ahsoka is really the only one who's as connected to the Force as he is, probably even more at this point. And so she's kind of like all in one. Maybe she feels him, understands where he's from. Maybe she did some digging on Yoda species. Don't know. But it definitely makes sense. The majority of the reason is because of Filoni. And I do believe that it'd probably just be like an episode, something very quick, not a whole season. But quick thoughts on Ahsoka possibly joining it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you want it to happen? Jacob, start us off.
I think this is a perfect testing ground for Ahsoka in live action. You can do it one episode. Like there's so many episodes of The Mandalorian where you only saw a character once, and all of them were unknown characters. But now we're hearing the rumblings about known characters, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, others. So if you're gonna have 3 or 4 known characters, she should be one of them. And we hear rumors about other series with her own series, things like that. So if you want to just test it and Filoni finally gets to do this, and I will say, and I argue with you guys sometimes about Ahsoka, but Filoni has to be the one to direct that episode. If she appears, it has to be a Dave Filoni.
And he's only doing one for season 2.
He is?
He's only doing one.
It's the Ahsoka episode then. I think it's cool. Like, it's not out of the realm of like possibilities. Like it makes sense. Last time we saw her, she was with a Mandalorian. She's alive during the time period. She's healthy. She's running around. So it doesn't not work. It works. So I think it will happen, and it should.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. At this point with her, it's a matter of when, not if. It seems like she's arguably the character that's leading this franchise right now. I mean, if she's not the most popular, she's in the top 3 at the very.
And she doesn't have a hot toy yet. What the hell?
I think
surprising.
They are. Well, they have to get the rights from Star Wars has to say yes, and I bet you Dave Filoni has to say yes for that.
Freaking crap, man!
I bet you. And
I'll spend $500 on that.
Look, they're gonna make one. They're gonna.
You would spend more than $500 on that.
Yeah, of course, but that's all I'm gonna say right now.
Don't say that, and they'll make it for like $800.
Yeah, we wouldn't spend more than 150.
I'm not saying anything more.
I'm kidding. But like I said, it's a matter of when, not if, with this character. I mean, it only makes sense to bring her in at some point, and she's not going to be the whole season. She needs to be capped at 1. Like, if we get further than 1, it takes away from it. I wouldn't be surprised if she's the very last character in the very last episode. You're working towards that. She's the very last character. You get all this hype off of her at the very end spills into whatever comes next after the Mandalorian season 2. And I mean, yeah, it's like I said, it's a matter of when, not if at this point.
Will
I
she
think-
light a lightsaber? Is the question.
I don't think so.
That's something I'll have to think about because
Yeah.
what I was just going to say is that whether it's more than one episode or whether it's a tease for something down the line, whatever Ahsoka is in, she instantly overpowers anything else going on in that show.
That's
because
true.
she is at Brian said it, and it's true. Right now, there's two people leading the charge for Star Wars, Maul and Ahsoka. After the Clone Wars, those two characters are really arguably leading the charge. We can argue Rey, we can argue Ben Solo, but the problem is they haven't been in as good consensusly stuff as the other two have been. And they are widely popular with all of Star Wars fans. And so if you throw Ahsoka in a live action show and it's more than one episode, she instantly becomes a main character type of character that you need to focus on. Otherwise, that she can't be there. And so it has to be one episode. It has to be a setup for something else that's not The Mandalorian. I do like the idea of it being a backdoor pilot for the Rebels sequel series. That would be a cool idea because you'd give that crew a chance to be seen in live action, but then you throw them back in animation and be like, look, we showed you in live action. We got the chance. Now we're going to tell their story in animation. I kind of like that idea. But I just think that it needs to be minimal. That way we don't overpower what Din Djarin is, what Cara Dune is, what Grand Moff or Moff Gideon is. Like, it's not to that extent, but you can see Ahsoka instantly becoming a Baby Yoda type where everyone is talking about her in live action if she shows up for more than one episode.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And that's why I think it's going to be towards the end of the season. And because if you do it in episode 2, then that's all anyone's going to be talking about.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be in, do we know if it's 8 episodes again?
It's supposed to be, from what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's 8, you have her show up in the 7th episode or something, maybe with Sabine. And I think it's going to tie into the Darksaber and Moff Gideon. And I think that all makes sense. So, and then the season ends shortly after that. So then there's no distracting from the show because it's over now for season 2. So I think it'll happen then.
Agree.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next character, the character that is connected to Ahsoka. And that if you have Ahsoka, you can't go without having this character. If you have this character, you can't go without having Ahsoka. And that is Rex. Someone who has been tied to her and just the Star Wars fandom for a very, very long time. The one clone as of right now in canon with Clone Wars that has made it out safe and sound. And he is rumored to be appearing alongside Ahsoka, or at least in the show in some capacity. Also being played by Tamira Morrison, which would be really, really cool.
That would be
the one
cool.
chance that we get to see him without the helmet on, obviously. And again, I do think that, Rex fits into the fold a little bit more than an Ahsoka does because he can be in more episodes and not be a main character. But you don't have Rex without Ahsoka and vice versa. And so I do think that if Ahsoka shows up, Rex shows up. If Rex shows up, Ahsoka shows up. And it would only be for that short time, setting up something down the line.
I think he would. Like, this makes so much sense. You could have him as like a side character for the whole season if you wanted to. Or
and here
3 or 4
also,
episodes.
I mean, he fought in the war for, he was confirmed as that character in Return of the Jedi, which means maybe he met up with Cara Dune at some point. Who knows?
It's possible. Yeah. This is like the easiest one to do and to fit in and just have it feel so fluent with no distractions, because like a lot of people, look, Rex is a big character, especially in Clone Wars, but like he's not going to be a distraction for the Mandalorian or other characters. So I think it just fits in nice. And like, I think Tamara Morrison deserves more credit for what, like, just his role in the Star Wars universe overall. So I think it would be so cool to have him voicing Boba Fett and playing Rex in live action.
Yes.
It's funny because you said you can't have one without the other, yet the Hot Toys that just came out was just him and not
Hey,
Ahsoka.
that looks pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's pretty fire. But
they should have done a combo pack, and I easily would have spent $1,000.
Don't say that. You're gonna raise the price of hot toys, man. In general.
If he is in it, I think this will work towards the favor of Jake saying he doesn't want Boba Fett to show his face. Because
Hell
I think because I think
that's another reason I want him to get like credit and and be seen. So if you do it with Rex, it's different. Yeah.
I think because let's be honest, The Mandalorian, as of right now, you don't really need to know much about Star Wars to watch it. And I think that's kind of a bit of what its popularity is pulling too, because I have a couple buddies that, even family members that have watched it that don't know Star Wars and love this. So I think for the casual fan, that would maybe confuse people to see the same faces doing different things.
Oh my God, could you imagine that scene if they take their helmets off and they're like, "Who are you? Who are you?"
That would be weird.
So I think that would play to the strength of not revealing Boba Fett's face. And I 100% agree with Jacob in the fact that he is a very easy character to put in there that people will freak out and get excited for, but not overshadow the main character and his storyline. And at the end of the day, that is my biggest fear with all of this, is overshadowing the actual character of the Mandalorian, because his name is the show. The story is about him. I mean, the child, Baby Yoda, and Tiny, that character blew the hell up. And that was not even a character that we knew we were getting or wanting. I mean, you throw in established characters like Boba Fett, Ahsoka, like those are big names. So Rex makes perfect sense in the sense of he's not a character that every single person like loves, follows, buys everything, eats up everything Rex. But at the end of the day, he's still a very popular character that people do really like and has been associated for a while and just came off the big hype that was this last final Clone Wars series. So I think he's a perfect character type of fit. And who knows? Maybe he knows Cara Dune. I mean, it wouldn't in some capacity, maybe like just traveling or something. So I think that one is one that makes perfect sense and is a good character, because he's, like you said, Ahsoka, we don't want more than one episode. You could get away with him probably 3 episodes, 4 at most, and still be kind of fine with. So I think him being the most realistic of showing up, I think would probably be his character.
Could you imagine seeing his painted clone helmet in live action?
Dude, that'd be
cool.
Wild. People would love that.
That would be insane. But yeah, okay. So you had said that Rex is kind of like the perfect choice because he can be a supporting character. You know, he won't overshadow anybody. There is nobody more perfect to fit this season than Bo-Katan. There is nobody more perfect to fit this season
That's true,
than
yeah.
Bo-Katan Kryze. Because
Jake, you've been
of that
calling this since the beginning.
I think I said it in our spoiler review. Just saying. Yeah. Then that is solely based off of the reveal of the Darksaber.
Yes.
The last time we saw the Darksaber, it was in her possession. And I'm sticking I'm sticking by what I said, which is crappy, that unfortunately I have a feeling that it'll be a flashback and we will see her death. But I'm not going to be surprised if she gets brought into present day and it's her kind of getting back the grace of her people and finding a way to fight back and get back the Darksaber alongside Din Djarin, which would be epic. Also, a cool little thing for this is the rumor is that Katie Sackhoff, the voice of the character, will be playing her, which is just a beautiful cherry on top.
Who is an awesome actor just on her own. Like,
and she is an action badass.
She's already done a ton of live action stuff, so that would be so cool for her. And this one, story wise, makes a lot of sense. Like, it makes more sense than Sabine. It makes more sense than Ahsoka. Just everything going in, and I just like seeing her play her would be just so amazing. It doesn't work out in every scenario because you could have one of the voice actors play one of these characters, right? Like the person who plays Ezra play Ezra, but like it might not work that way. But for her, it works because like she's the perfect age to play her. She's done action. I would love to see that. That would be, even if we just got Bo-Katan and Rex, like I'd be happy. I'd be so happy. That'd be awesome.
With us saying how Rex like makes sense, this one almost is like almost a given. Like you kind of have to tell the Darksaber story, and she was the last one that we truly knew that had it. So, I mean, whereas Rex is kind of dope to have and is going to be cool for the show, she almost is a necessity in a way, just for the story of the Darksaber. And because while I was saying you don't really need to know very much Star Wars to watch this show, the Darksaber was probably the one thing that left the casual fans the most like, what is that?
Did you guys see the practical version of it?
Yeah,
when he was holding it. It looks so cool.
Yeah, I want that hot toy.
I know. Damn.
I'd pay $2,000 for that.
Stop.
Do they sell it at Galaxy?
He's gonna get up to like $10,000 by the end.
Oh my god! Could you imagine if they allowed you to build that at Galaxy's Edge? That's a money maker.
Or if they just sold it as like one of the ones that they have done already.
Yeah, Jake would pay $3,000 for that. But maybe. Yeah, like I was saying, that was probably the most Star Wars-y thing to come out of it, was that Darksaber that the casual fan's not going to understand. To explain that story, she needs to be in it, and she literally has to be in it because she's the last one that we know of that had it. It only makes perfect sense to have Katie Sackhoff play that character, being the character was literally like almost built off of her. It almost kind of seems like, so, I mean, I don't want to keep saying it makes sense for everything, but that one is like probably the most given out of everything that we've talked about. I mean, her story is almost I don't even want to say almost. It is a necessity to have in order to tell that story of the Darksaber. And, you know, I mean, plug to Jake and I talking to Mr. Star Wars explained himself. He had, that's Alex Damon for those of you that don't know. He kind of said the feelings that I had, like, you don't bring, I was going to say you don't want to bring a character like that in just to kill her off right away. Kind of like how he was saying that. I don't unfortunately really see a way around it.
I literally just thought of something. I just thought of something.
It's fine
because, you know, I've been saying it for a long time that I do think that the flashback sequence, probably her death of losing the Darksaber, but I just thought of this. Maybe there was a way where she lost the Darksaber, but she lived, right? And they've been in hiding. We know that the Mandalorians have been in hiding, right? There's a big gap between that time and this time. What if the crew of Mandalorians who disappeared on the planet, what if the armorer knows Bo-Katan and they go fleeing to Bo-Katan, and that's how she gets brought out?
Very possible.
And then that ties into your theory that you had with them knowing each other.
Maybe it's revealed that she was the third Mandalorian in Clone Wars. You don't know that?
Listen,
that's very possible. Yeah.
Listen, I would love for that to work out, but for my own mental sake, I cannot have Jake be able to be the one that figured that out this far in advance. We would never hear that in advance.
But look, there's a way to, because in reality, you can have a Bo-Katan be a supporting character for 5-6 episodes without overpowering the show. Absolutely. Right? And like Brian said, she needs to be there for the story of the loss of the Darksaber, because during the purge of the Mandalorians, she was the leader of the Mandalorians. She was the one who had lost the Darksaber. So she needs to either be there telling it or be there in present day, and maybe the armor is telling the story. I don't know, but she definitely needs to be there in some capacity. And out of all these characters we're talking about, she is the one who's like, in my mind, an instant lock to be there more than just a cameo. Like, she's going to be an actual supporting, reoccurring character in this season, to me.
Well, other than Sabine, out of all the characters we're talking about, she's the only one who's a real Mandalorian.
Yes.
So the show is called The Mandalorian, and I know we know it's about Din Djarin, but like, he's not even a real Mandalorian, so it's set around this Mandalorian culture. And I think, were all the other guys killed, or their armor was just left behind?
I think to me, it looked like they had shed their armor and fled. That's kind of what I got from it.
And then the armor was just hanging out just to beat up stormtroopers.
But she was melting it down to keep the Beskar from what I
that's right.
It.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they may reshape it to wherever they're going.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of taking it with them.
Form a new clan.
Yeah. They're gonna forge a new clan.
Melt it into bricks and then turn it into
more
armor.
Exactly.
I mean, are they gonna make Tiny some armor, some Mandalorian armor?
Have you seen that? Have you seen the artwork of that? I gotta send you guys the artwork. Oh, I'll send you the artwork. It's amazing. He has a helmet on with his ears poking through and everything.
When I was joking about the 5 geek characters I want to spend quarantine with, I said Baby Yoda, and then Tony Stark was there, and I said he was going to make us all Iron Man suits. So I can't get that picture out of my head of him in an Iron Man suit. I'm sure there's artwork of it somewhere, to be honest.
Oh, there is.
I mean, there's artwork of him. Hey, by the way, speaking of hot toys, you know how hard it is not to buy the child
life size? The life size one?
Look, like, I want to buy it just to own it, but I'm not even I love the child, don't get me wrong, but I'm not dying. Like, I don't know what it is. It's weird. Like, I don't have to have it, but I want it so bad. But I don't even know what I would do with it. It's going to be so big. Like, it's like life size, actual life size. I'll just leave it at Brian's house in the
like everything else in my collection.
Yeah.
I would say, to be honest, out of every rumored possible character, if I had to put money on only one, she would be the one that. Even over Ahsoka, even over Rex, Boba Fett, like.
Oh, that's awesome! Hey,
I love the little arms. The arms are what get me.
He was adopted and brought in, so
he's a clan of 2. Yep.
Maybe he gets it too.
I love the little arms that just dangle.
Well, so look, the clan logo's on his helmet.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool.
All right, so moving on from Bo-Katan, a character we would obviously love to see, and having Katie Sackhoff play her would be absolutely incredible. We move on to the next one that is on the list, that is a Mandalorian, just like Bo-Katan, a character who is very widely popular with a Rebels fan base, and that is Sabine Wren. Once a holder of the Darksaber, who eventually vacated it to Bo-Katan to lead the Mandalorians. Out of all of these characters, her story didn't pick up as much steam as the others, but I have a feeling that's just because, like Bo-Katan, it really does make sense because she is a Mandalorian. We don't know what's going on with the Mandalorian people at this point in time. We know that the last time we saw her, she was with Ahsoka at the end of Rebels, but the time gap, we don't know what could happen in that time gap. And I would love to see it. I would love to see a live action version of Sabine. I don't know how the story fits because I want to see Ahsoka and Sabine together. But it would be cool to see her in live action if it's just for an episode.
I think them showing up together makes the most sense right now. Like, what was Rex doing at the end of Rebels? Did they show what he's doing, right? He's still alive, right?
He's still alive, but he wasn't with them. Maybe he was on the ship
they all
waiting.
Split up and did their own thing, right? But they must have shown what he was doing. Maybe he just stayed in. I don't know, stayed around. But he fought in the battle. He was in. He confirmed to be in.
He was in Return of the Jedi.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he probably just retired finally, right? But no, I
never.
What were we talking about again? I was
Sabine.
Sabine.
Oh, Sabine. Okay. No, I lost the track. I was thinking of Rex and Rebels now. Okay, so we literally saw them last together. So even though it is a long time, it would be kind of cool, like yeah, they've been hanging out this whole time together. Which, because why else would Ahsoka get involved? You know, like I feel like going like Sabine's like, I heard the dark saber has been stolen. Like I got to go get it, and Ahsoka's like, I'll go with you, and boom. So I think that's how it's done.
Ahsoka finding Rex maybe just in a bar somewhere and being like, "Hey, we've got work to do," and being like, "All right, Commander," like, or just like, I would lose my mind if that happened.
I would cry. I'd probably cry.
You would definitely cry.
I'd probably cry.
You would cry and then do some of these.
Yeah, I'd probably run around. Yeah.
First off, I want to see her in live action just to see her Mandalorian suit.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. I can only imagine how amazing that thing would look. The way she just paints it and stuff like that. Oh, people would buy the hell out of that suit. Like Halloween costume, like all that type of stuff.
Where's that hot toy?
I'm sure they're working on it.
Listen, if they ever make a hot toy that is the cast of Rebels, that is one that I will not be able to get away from.
Wow.
100%. But anyways, with Sabine is another one that, I mean, if they are actually planning to tell that story with Ahsoka and Sabine, she kind of almost needs to be in it. Even just for a little bit, like the same amount as Ahsoka. But I could see her being like a 2 or 3 episode type character, because again, she's not someone that's going to completely overshadow. Anytime I feel like you throw in a Mandalorian, except for maybe Boba Fett, who wasn't really a Mandalorian, they're not going to heavily really overshadow it. And I think that's one of the plus sides of it. When you get into areas like Ahsoka, Boba Fett, these namesakes that are synonymous with fans and not Star Wars crazy fans, then that's the more risky territory. But you if you don't know Rebels, you're not going to know who this character is. And that plays again into the factor of Bo-Katan and Sabine work to have more than one appearance in an episode or episodes. Because at the end of the day, they're loved by Star Wars fans, but they are not beloved by everyone that has watched Star Wars. And I think that's where she will be able to come in for more than one episode and work well with the storyline.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on from the characters. And we're going to be talking about just a few names here quickly. The most recent one that was announced was Timothy Olyphant. It was released yesterday, excuse me. The Justified actor appeared in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last year. He was also in Deadwood for HBO. Very well-known name in the business.
Needs to be in more stuff.
Yeah, some of your average moviegoers may not know who he is until they see his face. He is rumored. Do any of you, first of all, thoughts on him joining, and do you have any idea who he possibly could be playing?
He's awesome, and it's so funny because The Mandalorian is like a Western, right? And he's like known for Western type stuff. Like, is he cast typed as a cowboy? Because he's
probably
like the way, even in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he was
acting as a cowboy as an actor. Yeah.
So I actually really like him, and it's funny because do you guys like? I always get him and Josh Duhamel mixed up, like the way their faces.
They do look similar.
They look so similar. But that's a great casting. I wonder what he's going to be. Like, it's easy to assume he might be a villain.
Jake, you and I are on the same page. Jacob doesn't have a clue.
Are there any rumors to what he might be?
There's no rumors. There's rumors that fans are starting, but Brian, you can go ahead and say it, Brian.
No, I can tell you want to say it, so I'll let you do it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Jacob, the rumor is that he's playing Cad Bane.
Oh, shoot. Oh my goodness! I just had a mind explosion.
That's a good mind explosion. I like that
because I was like, "There's nothing they're gonna say that's gonna like just be too like perfect for it, and that would be awesome. Look, if they did that, that would be great. But I think he's going to be unknown. Like, do cowboy hats exist in Star Wars? If so, he's going to be wearing one.
Jacob,
Oh,
he could possibly
has a cowboy hat, right?
He could possibly even be the one that we're thinking Boba Fett is.
Possibly, yeah. And that's another thing they talked about, right? Like one of the things is that Cad Bane is people were throwing around, but then like not a lot of people know who he is, you know? So I don't know, but he actually like has the body type for Cad Bane too.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
What is the very first thing that you said? He's really good at playing westerns.
Yep, it's happening. It's confirmed.
Right here on the Padawan podcast, it's been confirmed. Timothy Oliphant playing Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Well, remember, so a key here is that in the unaired episodes for Clone Wars season 7 that never made
that's right.
That never made Filoni shot the scene where Boba Fett got the dent in his helmet, and it was literally a showdown like a western between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Boba Fett ended up killing Cad Bane in that scene, but because those aren't canon, Cad Bane is officially out there in the world somewhere, and because he is an alien, or the galaxy, I say, because he's an alien, we don't know how he ages. And they could obviously tie that back, and maybe Boba Fett has some kind of grudge or revenge against Cad Bane, or vice versa. And maybe Cad Bane finds out that Boba Fett's alive. Maybe he needs Mando's help, something like that, because Cad Bane's a pure bad guy. It'd be a very cool thing to do.
Even if those things were canon, they never showed him physically dead. It was just his hat floating. Correct?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it was left ambiguous. Which, I mean...
But those aren't canon, so that didn't even matter.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, there you go. Like, I would be so down for him.
Just imagine a showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Ooh.
Look at Jacob picturing it in his mind.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's not, like... Look, Cad Bane is, like, hasn't been explored a lot in Star Wars. Like, he was in Clone Wars, and... not even recently, you know. So a lot of people will be like, "Who's this character?" And they'll research him and be like, "Oh, he was in Clone Wars." But not a lot of people know about him.
I love his voice.
He, in that way, like that's the type of characters you should be putting into this show. Is characters that they don't know a lot of, like casual fans don't know a lot about,
like an IG-11.
Yeah, exactly. And so Cad Bane is perfect for that.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right. Well, the next.
And if it is Timothy Oliphant, that's perfect.
I was just gonna say that character works as one of these like grungy bounty hunters that this show kind of thrives on. Mm-hmm. And again, another character not a lot of people know about, doesn't overshadow completely who the Mandalorian is. And I mean,
totally.
So it would make sense to have that type of character.
Yeah, so the next two names that we're gonna be talking about, like they were announced a little while ago. They were kind of the first like cast announcements for season 2. No real names have been attached to them as of yet, but they're a little older, well-known names in the world of Hollywood, and that is Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Biehn. Jamie Lee Curtis has kind of made a resurgence as of late with Halloween and Knives Out. Michael Biehn, well known for his movies in the Terminator and Alien franchises. Action guy. He played Kyle Reese in the original Terminator. As far as characters, not really an idea on that one, but just the addition of them is really cool. It's very much like that addition of Carl Weathers when he was announced in season 1.
Yeah.
And whatever capacity it is in, like Jacob, you had mentioned earlier how we see a lot of actors or characters just pop up for like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah.
If that is the case, I'm totally cool with it because just seeing them in Star Wars is a really cool piece of news and addition. And so I'm all for it, whether it's a small or a big role.
Well, it could be like, what was the name of that second episode that Rick Famuyiwa directed? The heist one where they're going
the prisoner.
Oh yeah, the prisoner. It could be an episode like that where you're only seeing these characters once, and it's like a group of characters or something like that. And
like Bill Burr.
They could be aliens, and you don't even know that it's them really. I think that's cool, and I think Jon Favreau's just like picking some of his favorite actors that are older, who aren't doing much stuff right now, and like
Yep.
Carl Weathers and Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Biehn. So I think they're a great addition. I think that'll be cool.
Well, we had the rumor when they were coming out was that she was the armorer, correct?
Yeah, there was a rumor that she was going to play because
Like
of the
lasted
age,
for a
but
little bit.
I want Emily Swallow to play the armorer.
Is she the voice?
Mm-hmm.
So the armorer has an accent, right? It's not American, right? Isn't it like British or something?
I think so. I don't know if it's British, but I don't know if it's an American, or maybe it's just like a heightened American accent.
I don't think it's they had an American accent.
I don't want it. I don't want the show to be where they have these people voicing and playing these characters under the helmet, but then they put a face when the helmet comes off.
I don't think the armorer's helmet is ever coming off anyway.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think so either. I agree.
And then with Michael Biehn, we heard a bounty hunter, just some type of
or maybe almost like a Carl Weathers, like maybe he's the leader of some kind of other bounty hunter guild, which might make sense too. But he's a total badass, so it would make sense for him to be some kind of.
I know you were super freaking excited when he got.
I mean, the Alien franchise, Terminator. I mean, he's been in so much cool stuff over the years, and he hasn't been in a lot as of late. It's cool to see him come back.
Was he in the first Alien or no?
Yes, I think so.
I just watched it for the first time actually.
Hold on, really?
Yeah, it was on our challenge list, and I had to watch it for class, but I don't know if he was, because Sigourney Weaver's the only one who survives. So,
do you know, Jake? You know that Bounty Hunters comic that's going on right now?
Yeah, I'm reading it.
I have a wild theory that he's the
main character.
What's his name?
I'm forgetting his name at the moment. Yeah.
Valance.
He's in the second one, Jacob. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He's in the second one. Sorry.
I was like, Sigourney Weaver is the only one who survives.
That would be cool. That character is super cool. That character.
I don't think
that character's a main character to me.
Yeah, no, I know. It was just kind of like a fun one, and plus, I don't think all of these characters need to be these namesake characters.
No, like remember, even in the episode that Jacob mentioned, the prisoner, the guy with the long hair from Sons of Anarchy, he showed up in the one episode. Like that's all you need with some of these people, right? Or like no, he's not.
They blew it up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But even like
other people aren't dead.
A great example is Werner Herzog. Like he could be a Werner Herzog type.
He just reminded me that Werner Herzog, how awesome he was.
What a terrible death too.
I know. Yeah. Damn, he was so great.
Yeah. All right, gents. Well, any final thoughts on any of these characters, actors, as far as season 2 for Mandalorian? Let me ask this actually.
I do.
Go ahead, Brian.
I don't want to hear anymore. I need it to stop, because I want to get that surprise that I got with certain things like The Child, where I didn't expect it. Can you imagine if we had no idea that Ahsoka was coming and all of a sudden it shows up? We would be screaming, running around the house, like losing our minds. So that's why I kind of just want.
I would be.
Yeah.
I think anyone that just
likes
likes her. Exactly. So
Mind
for
explosion.
me,
That's the next T-shirt. Mind explosion.
Mind explosions. I need it to stop.
Cad Bane, right?
Yeah.
No, the thing is, here's the thing though with rumors. Like 25% of these might end up being true, if that. So
yeah.
We're gonna come back to this and be like, oh my god, we were totally like over speculating and all this stuff. It was way more simpler than we thought. Kind of like the Clone Wars finale.
That was the epitome of us going off and it just being
so I think it's okay to have rumors, because it gives us stuff to talk about, because they're not all going to be true.
No, I would like some surprise.
Confirmed things. Yes, I don't want to hear a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Let me ask this before we get out of here. Out of the 5 characters, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Rex, Bo-Katan, Sabine, if you only had the choice of one, who would it be? Jacob, start us off.
Oh, man. Okay. For this show, and as far as just like fit, I probably want to see Rex the most.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
Well, look, if I had to choose like overall in anything, it would be Ahsoka. But if I have to choose for this show, and look, Bo-Katan makes a lot of sense, obviously. But especially after Clone War, the last season of Clone Wars, like, look, I wasn't the biggest Rex fan in the world. Like, I liked him, but after Clone Wars, I like him a lot more after this last season. So, and I want Morrison to get more credibility. Like, I want him to be remembered as like something important in the Star Wars universe. Not that he's not, but it's like people only associate him with Attack of the Clones, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would just be so cool for him to play Rex. So I would go Rex.
Brian? 5.
I want to say probably Boba Fett. Just because I mean, that was the thing that we had heard from the beginning. But if I'm not saying Boba Fett, Bo-Katan's pretty enticing.
Which one? One or the other?
Oh, no, I already said Boba Fett, but I'm just saying, like, Bo-Katan's a really enticing one, especially when you throw the Darksaber at the very end, the, like, last thing you see of last season. So, but I'll stick with Boba Fett just because, I mean, he's the ultimate of our Mandalorians. He's the original one that we met. So it'd be kind of cool to see his story, especially if they show him escaping the Sarlacc pit, and
it's gonna be a sweet scene if they do it Drax style. I'm gonna say Bo-Katan. I think Bo-Katan is I've been saying it since the last episode last year. I think she just fits, especially after the way that Filoni portrayed her in season 7 of the Clone Wars during the Siege of Mandalore. Her fighting style is so unique, and seeing that in live action with Katie Sackhoff playing that character would be incredible. And obviously throwing the Darksaber into the equation, it just makes sense that way. And so I will say Bo-Katan.
Those are some good choices. I think all 3 of those could show up.
Yes, I agree. But for now, that is it, guys. The Padawan podcast for this week. That is everything we're going to be talking about for The Mandalorian for now. At this rate, we'll have another 5 characters to talk about next week. Stay tuned for that every Tuesday here on the channel. Padawan podcast, you can find it not just on YouTube, but also on audio. So Apple, Spotify, Anchor, Google, everywhere you find podcasts or listen to podcasts, you can find us there. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Also, likes and rates. Those shoot our videos up the charts a little bit so they get seen more. If you guys can just give us a thumbs up or give us a rate on audio, really, really appreciate it. But for now, that is everything as far as Star Wars for this week on Apocaflix. So for Mr. Avalosino, for Mr. Obi-Wan Jacoby right there, and myself, this is the Padawan podcast on Apocaflix Movies. We thank you for joining us. We will see you next week, and may the Force be with you.